My apartment smells like onions, but it smelled like onions before I had onions all over my floor. Welcome to Mythical Kitchen, where dreams become food. So your pantry items might be getting a little bit limited right now, which is why me, Nicole, and Trevor are gonna teach you how to cook with a common snacking staple that you probably have laying around in your cupboard.
We're gonna show you how to make 3 delicious recipes with potato chips.
If you're following along at home, you can find the time codes right there and also all the written recipes in the description below.
Let's get cooking! Sorry, it's the bananas. Oh God. Oh, we found out I'm allergic to bananas, and whenever I eat them, I burp. All right, so today we're making a meatloaf, but instead of using breadcrumbs, we are using an entire bag of Ruffles sour cream and cheddar chips. They're gonna act the same way as breadcrumbs when you add breadcrumbs to a meatloaf. Same thing with meatballs, same thing as meat cupcakes. Is that a thing? I don't know, it is now. First step though, you have to start sweating your aromatics. The only aromatic that we're using in this is onion. You could also throw in celery or carrot. I feel like meatloaf became the butt of a lot of jokes in 90s sitcoms. So I think some of us millennials may have grown up with it as like, you know, a punchline. Nah, not me. Meatloaf is serious business. It was one of the first dishes that I actually started learning how to make when I was but a wee lad. I was never like a wee lad. I was like a large wee lad. You know, I was like a 260-pound, 12-year-old wee lad, just making meatloaves. So we're gonna take 1 entire onion. We're not trying to caramelize it or anything. We're just trying to sweat it. When you sweat onions, all that means is you are cooking them until they're translucent. And that is going to, 1, take some of the moisture out of it so you don't get a bunch of onion moisture. And also raw onion can have a bit of a spicy funk to it. So you're trying to get that out as well. I should have put a trash can back here. My apartment smells like onions, but it smelled like onions before I had onions all over my floor. Now, for the rest of the meatloaf. Right here, we have 2.5 pounds of 85/15 beef. Too fatty of a meatloaf, you're gonna get a bunch of that grease leaking out, and not gonna lie, you're already putting about 1,000 calories worth of potato chips in here. 1 cup of shredded yellow cheddar cheese, that is completely optional, but I would highly recommend it. And then we're gonna add in a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. You can add any spices you want. You can throw some paprika in there. And now we're cracking 3 eggs. All right, so you're gonna go ahead and open these chips, and then you're gonna put them into a Ziploc bag. All right, you've transferred all your chips into a new bag. Good for you. All right, so the next step, you're gonna take your entire bag of Ruffles. You need to crush these up as fine as possible, and I'm gonna get Nicole to help me out. Nicole, think fast.
That was aggressive.
Ow, ow, what the frick?
Thanks, Nicole. So now you're gonna take your breadcrumbs and then you're gonna add them directly to the meat mixture. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna soak all the breadcrumbs in the milk, and then that's actually gonna help tenderize it. So you're not gonna get like random chunks of bread in there. It's all gonna be soaked through with milk. And now get dirty with your hands. Like, why not? Well, I guess the one why not is probably the pandemic. Wash your hands and then get in there and just mix it all together. Oh, heck, the onions. All right, so you're gonna get your hand covered in raw meat, and you're gonna grab all the onions and you're gonna dump them in there. The onions are gonna be piping hot. That's about getting there. All right, so our meat's all mixed up. Why did I slapped it for emphasis. Okay, so you have your meat meated, but there's 2 parts to a meatloaf, the meat and the loaf, and now you gotta loaf it. That makes no sense at all. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of non-stick cooking spray, AKA food lube. Lube up your hands too. Why? It feels good. No, you don't want the meat to stick to your hands, and you want to be able to shape this loaf. I'm gonna do a little bit of like a free-form loaf here. I'm gonna shape it how I wanna shape it. It's funny, this reminds me of when Trevor was doing this with the no-knead bread loaf. He was doing this like fancy culinary school technique, and I was like, you wanna slap your meat until it looks like a turd a little bit. All right, so we got our meat all loafed up. We're gonna throw it in the oven at 350 degrees for 45 minutes, and then I'm gonna make a quick little glaze, get a glaze on it, slap it back in the oven, and then we get to eat a 3-pound meatloaf all to ourselves. All right, welcome back to the cooking show. So the meatloaf's out of the oven, it's almost fully cooked. Now we just need to make this glaze. This is the original recipe from when I started making meatloaf as a child, and I have had, what, about 19 years to actually perfect it and tweak it. Haven't done that at all. It was perfect when I did it when I was like 9, and it's perfect now. So we're gonna take a 1/2 cup of ketchup and then 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and then 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. You can use any balsamic vinegar you want, and then you're just gonna whisk this up. That's once that is all whisked up, lovingly glaze your meatloaf. Or spitefully glaze your meatloaf. I don't know what mood you're in. I'm not here to police your emotions. You don't wanna spread it too thin, because as this kind of caramelizes in the oven, it's gonna get a little bit thinner. So you want a really thick coating on your glaze, and that way you'll get a lot of that awesome caramelized sugars on top. I'm gonna go ahead and put this glazed meatloaf back in the oven. You could keep it at 350 degrees and do it for 15 minutes. You could jack up the temperature to 400. It's heat, it's meat, it's food. Live, laugh, love. Can I go home? I am home. All right, so we got our meatloaf all glazed and out of the oven. Look at that. It's just all nice and lacquered. The glaze has turned from like a liquid to an amorphous solid. How is that the one science word that I remember? But we have one more step. I'm gonna take some crushed chips and just sprinkle this all on top to get a nice little crunchy topping. Like if there weren't enough chips in there already. That is your sour cream and cheddar Ruffles meatloaf with a balsamic ketchup glaze. So we're just gonna cut it into like 1/2 inch thick slices. Oh yeah, there's like a little cheese skirt at the bottom from some of the cheese that leaked out. Look at that. You can still see some of the chips in there. It's so juicy. It's just like steaming. Can you see it in the frame? With all due respect to 9-year-old me, this is the best meatloaf I've ever had. That is some sexy meatloaf, and now Nicole's gonna teach you how to make an even sexier chicken tender with salt and vinegar chips. Take it away, Nicole. Or that way.
Today, I'm gonna show you guys how to make salt and vinegar chicken tendies. This is a really super simple recipe, and it's actually baked, which is healthier. I don't know. These have salt and vinegar chips, which actually aren't my favorite, but in this recipe, they are absolutely amazing. The first plan of attack is making your buttermilk brine. You can make your own buttermilk with 2 ingredients. I'm gonna take about a cup of this milk, about a tablespoon of white distilled vinegar. You can use any sort of acidic thing you got. You can use lemon juice, you can use apple cider vinegar, you can use balsamic. White vinegar and lemon juice is the way to go. Wiggle it up a bit, and that's how you make buttermilk. In 5 minutes, you're gonna see it's gonna thicken and coagulate a little bit. It's gonna be great. Then I'm gonna add 2 eggs. I'm gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 3/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of garlic salt, and then I'm gonna take about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then I like my chicken tendies a little spicy, so I'm going to add a hefty pinch of cayenne. I'm gonna grab a whisk, and I'm gonna whisk this all together. So now I'm gonna add my buttermilk. You can see it's thickened a little bit. Mix that together. And then I'm gonna add a whole pound of chicken tendies. Ooh, this bowl is too damn small, boys and girls. Use a bigger bowl than me, please. And I'm gonna actually let these hang out in the fridge for like 15 minutes. That way the flavor can really penetrate. So now that our chicken tendies are hanging out in the fridge, I'm gonna begin to bash my bag of salt and vinegar chips. Oh. That looks good. So I'm gonna add about 1/2 of my bag in here. Then I'm gonna take my parchment paper, lay it on my sheet pan, and then I'm going to put in a little bit of extra virgin olive oil on the bottom. This way our chicken tendies can get a really, really good crispy crust on the bottom. Awesome. It's time to assemble our chicken tenders. Sorry, tendies, chicken tendies. We refer to them as tendies in this house. I'm going to take my chicken tendy, shake off any excess, and then I'm going to lay it in the chips. Then I'm gonna use my tongs to press it into the chips. And look at that, it's a beautifully coated tendy. Slap it on and continue. What do you want me to talk about, Ben?
No, just make sound effects.
What? Ooh, this chicken tendy has a vein. Oh no. Speaking of veiny chicken, how's Josh doing?
I had another bite.
All of my chicken tendies have been coated. That's a perfectly coated chicken tendy. Also, I'm gonna teach you guys a little tidbit. Whenever you're baking chicken, like trying to substitute baking for frying, I like to put a little sprinkle of olive oil in there, and it really helps brown the top, and it makes it feel like it's fried, even though it's not. So I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit. It's chicken. So I'm gonna put that in the oven for about 15-20 minutes. I'm gonna check it to make sure it's not burning. If it is, I'm gonna turn my temperature a little bit down. If it still looks a little bit pale to me, I'm gonna turn it up to 425 and let it hang out in there. Let's put these guys to sleep. Good night, babies. I love you. But while they're cooking, I'm gonna make the easiest dipping sauce known to mankind. 3 ingredients, 5 seconds. Real mayo, 2 hefty slaps, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic salt, and then as much or as little hot sauce as you want. I'm gonna put about 2 tablespoons. Hey Josh, can you give me some hot sauce, please?
Oh yeah, sure. Is that good?
Keep going. Keep going.
Is that good?
Don't be shy. Keep going.
Keep going. Is that good?
A little bit more? A little bit more.
More? Is that good?
A little bit more.
Is that good?
A little bit more? Okay. I'm gonna whisk that up, and it's gonna be this beautifully rosy hue that's gonna be perfect for our sauce. Give it a little taste. Ooh, zippy. Now it's time to take out our chicken tendies. I'm gonna use my Mythical kitchen towel, which you can find at mythical.com, to remove my tendies. I'm going to wrap it around about 4 times to make sure my hand doesn't burn. Oh, those look good. Can you hear them crackle? Can you hear them crackle? This is a chicken tendy. Look how beautiful it looks. I'm gonna put these on my plate. I found one of these cups, you know, the ones that you steal from the condiment section. I found one of these to make me feel like I'm in a restaurant. And I'm gonna pour my chicken tendy sauce in there. And there you go. Dip it in my sauce. That's good. Beautifully seasoned, you know? Because sometimes whenever you get chicken tendies, they don't taste good. They just taste like, you know, boring chicken tendies. But these are packed with flavor. And the vinegar isn't too overpowering either. That's a quality tendy, my guy. One of the best chicken tendy recipes I've ever eaten. And I'm not just saying that because I made the recipe. Next up, Trevor's gonna show you how to make salty chocolate chip cookies. That's good.
Everybody, today is the day that you have all been waiting for. I'm finally making cookies. I know it's been a long time coming, but it's happening. Although it is cookies with a twist because I'm gonna be adding potato chips. We're gonna start with 3/4 of a cup of butter. Softened butter is the best. Mine's been sitting out in a relatively warm kitchen. I would say that this kitchen is relatively warm right now. 3/4 of a cup or 1.5 sticks. Brown sugar and cane sugar, 1/2 cup of each. So you might be thinking, why are you putting 2 types of sugar? Why not just cane sugar? And you could just put cane sugar. That would give it more of a sugar cookie texture. But the reason brown sugar is added because it gives it that kind of rich, nutty flavor that you get. And so I'm going to start just pressing, creaming together the butter and sugar in the bowl. Now that the butter and sugar's creamed together, it is egg time. Do I have an egg? You can't see it, but there's a cord attached to me that is tethering me to a certain point. Got an egg. Oh, okay. That shell, holy crap. This is like the most fragile shell Okay, I just need you to get out. Okay, we did it. Egg and butter sugar combined, flour time. 1.5 cups of flour are going in here. Mix it up. You can spill flour on the counter if you want to. By the way, if you haven't already, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Then, very important, don't want to forget salt and baking soda. So I'm adding a teaspoon of baking soda. I think I said a teaspoon of salt, and I think when I did that, I didn't factor in the chips that were going in. So I'm gonna do like a little less than a teaspoon. So we're just gonna continue onward with the sort of sexy librarian look that I've got going on now. Let me just peer over the rim of my glasses at you while I mix this cookie dough very sensually. Chocolate chip time. I'm of the firm belief that you add as many chocolate chips as your heart desires, and I love chocolate chips. So I'm just gonna dump a lot of them in there, and that looks perfect actually. So however many I just put in, just mimic that.
Hey Trevor, what are you making?
I'm making cookies!
That's right, buddy. The internet loves the catchphrase. It'll never get old either.
Chips. Very crucial part to our potato chip, chocolate chip cookie. Potato chip choco cookie, as I like to call it. I can't take off the beanie now though, you know, I'm committed. Okay, so potato chips. It's therapeutic. And then we're gonna go with 1/2 cup of these bad boys and then just mix it up until it is evenly dispersed. Okay, I've got the cookie dough. It is ready, it is prepared. I'm gonna go 4. This is a little bit of a smaller baking sheet. I don't want them to touch. Now, the important part, the crushed chips on top.
Trevor, let me help, man. I want to do it.
Josh, this isn't gonna work.
Wait, let me try the other side. Is it working? Trevor, you see? Ah! Weird!
I told you, your hands can't reach in here. Oh, silly Josh. Just a nice sprinkle. Give it a little crush between the fingers as you're giving the sprinkle. I'm gonna pop these in at 350 for about 8 minutes, but every oven is different, so just keep an eye on your cookies, okay? Cookies! Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so good. It's crispy on the bottom. It's gooey in the middle. Oh, that's a good cookie. There's a crunch from the potato chips, a perfectly salted cookie. You actually don't get a lot of potato chip flavor. Like it's not like you're eating, like it tastes like a chocolate chip cookie. I'm enjoying every minute of this. Thank you for joining us in the Mythical Kitchen today.
We got new YouTube videos every week and new episodes of A Hot Dog is a Sandwich wherever you get your podcasts.
And hit us up on IG at Mythical Kitchen with pictures of your potato chip dishes with the hashtag Dreams Become Food.
We'll see you next time.
Bye. Cookies.
You can cook up your own feast while wearing the Mythical Kitchen apron, available now at mythical.com.